My name is Thomas and today I'm tinkering on this brand new redesigned 2020 Nissan Qashqai. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe. Let's get right into the information for the 2020 Nissan Qashqai. Now, if you find yourself pronouncing the name of this vehicle something along the lines of Qashqai, don't worry, the States gave up completely and just called the Qashqai the Rogue Sport. So if you're here in Canada or anywhere in Europe and other places around the world, it's going to be the Qashqai. If you're in the States, it's the Rogue Sport. They're the exact same vehicle. Now that's out of the way, what's new with the 2020? Well, really the only noticeable change for the 2020 versus the 2019 is the face of the Qashqai. Now, while they did call this a redesigned vehicle because technically they did redesign it, it is much more of a facelift as this is really the only major difference. When compared to the 2019, the 2020 Qashqai has a much more sportier and up-to-date modern looking face. But now let's talk about the facts and features of the redesigned or facelifted 2020 Nissan Qashqai. And I want to start off with a fun fact. Did you know that Qashqai is actually the name of a people and the name of the language that those people speak? So the Qashqai people speak Qashqai. I bet you didn't know that, unless you were one of the Qashqai people who speak Qashqai. But then what on earth are you doing watching this English review of the Qashqai SUV? I don't know. They have a population of just under 1 million people, and I don't really know why the Qashqai is named the Qashqai, especially if they're trying to name it after the Qashqai people. Maybe they also really like 5-seater metal box SUVs on wheels. I don't know, but you know that it's true because I got that from Google, and Google never lies. Now though, for the facts and features that you're actually here for, this 5-seater compact SUV comes with features like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. There's also an electronic parking brake as well as blind spot monitors, which Nissan do differently from most of their competition. While others have the light on the wing mirror, Nissan has put this feature on the inside so it's easily visible as wing mirrors can get muddy and snowy, especially here in Alberta. Of course, let's not forget about the lovely heated seats, the tire pressure monitoring system, LED daytime running lights with high beam assist, and a backup camera with the rear sonar system, which are just a few of the standard features that you'll find on the 2020 Nissan Qashqai. But if you decide to upgrade to one of the optional packages on the Qashqai, you'll get features like the power sliding glass moonroof, silver finished roof rails, the dual zone automatic climate control, heated leather wrapped steering wheel, Nissan's intelligent key, which is in charge of activating your push start button, easy entrance and exit, as well as your remote start. These radical 19-inch aluminum wheels with all-season tires, the intelligent around view monitor, or what I like to call the bird's eye view camera system, an 8-way power seat including 2-way lumbar support, as well as the memory system that controls your seat as well as your power wing mirrors, a Bose premium audio sound system with a subwoofer, and last but certainly not least, Nissan's ProPILOT Assist. It's a semi-autonomous driving system, or you can also call it an intelligent cruise control that will assist in braking, accelerating, as well as minor steering changes while you're driving along, and it only comes on 3 vehicles, the Qashqai, and funny enough, the last 2 vehicles I reviewed, the Ultima as well as the Rogue. And just like with those tours, I'm going to link a video down below that I put together that goes over everything that you need to know about Nissan's ProPILOT Assist. Now, of course, this wouldn't be much of a car tour if I didn't talk about the engine. This is a 2.0 liter inline-4 engine that is putting out 141 horsepower and 147 pound-foot of torque. Now, while this is the only engine you can get with the Qashqai, there are different ways to utilize it. And what I mean by that is you can get both front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive, as well as a manual and automatic transmission. Now, just with the base S model, the cheapest one, that is the manual front-wheel drive version, and I'm all for it. Not the front-wheel drive, but the manual part. I love that. Anything to keep the manual alive. Now, on the other hand, when it comes to any of the other trims and packages, that's where you get the all-wheel drive as well as the automatic transmission. It's Nissan's CVT, or continuously variable transmission. Now, I want to point out that this is the Canadian version, and what comes with this version and the packages and trim levels it has may change in your country. Of course, in the States, over in England and Japan, those packages might change slightly depending on where you live. Now, talking about Japan, this is actually where the Qashqai is assembled and built, and that is one of the reasons that people buy this vehicle so much. And another fun fact, while this is the second generation with the facelift, the first generation in Australia and Japan was named the Nissan Duelist. As for the drive test, everything I have to say is very similar to my last video when I was talking about the 2020 Nissan Rogue, because the Rogue and the Qashqai share the same platform. They're almost mechanically identical. It's just that the Qashqai is slightly smaller than the Rogue, so the steering is still so fluid and light and easy, and you really just need your pinky finger to change directions or do a full 360. It's just so easy. And also, like the Rogue, the ride is very smooth and comfortable, which is actually one of the big selling points for both the Qashqai as well as the Rogue. However, there is one difference. In the Rogue, they have a 2.5 liter, but in the Qashqai, it's a 2 liter inline four. So they've taken half a liter off of the engine. And I was already saying that the Rogue was underpowered. So now here sitting in the Qashqai, there's even less power. 141 horsepower just isn't enough in an SUV. I don't care if this is a small compact SUV, it's just not enough. In the Rogue, the sport mode actually did something though, because it had that extra half a liter to go to. And this, you put the sport mode on, and I think it's just honestly a gimmick. Nothing changes. The engine just starts to scream at you. Now, to be fair, you can feel the engine trying to rev faster, and you can feel the transmission downshifting when you really mash your foot in sport mode. But at the end of the day, neither one really makes a difference. It's just not enough power to really make it feel like you've turned on sport mode. And the eco mode, on the other hand, just gives you less power. It forces you to rev slower, accelerate slower, etc, etc. But to end on a good note, I do think that the braking on the Qashqai is phenomenal. It's that perfect happy medium. It's just what you'd expect. It's not too harsh, it's also not too soft. It's right where I want it to be. And on top of that, I should probably explain why they haven't really tuned this engine to get over 200 horsepower, because they could easily do that. They could throw a turbo on there, they could change the compression, they could give you more power from this engine, but they are specifically not doing that. And the reason being is because they want the Qashqai to last a long time. It's the same with the Rogue. They want this to be a car that stands for longevity. They want this to last years and years and years without anything going wrong. A good way to think of it is, let's say you go to the gym and you put the maximum amount of weight on one of those machines, and you're just your average guy. You'll maybe get 1 or 2 reps, maybe you'll get no reps, but either way, you're gonna feel exhausted for just a few seconds of work. Now, let's say the same average person goes to the gym and puts a low to medium amount of weight on that exact same machine. Not only are you gonna get more reps out of it, also you're not gonna feel as tired. And that's exactly what they did with this engine. They haven't given you any crazy horsepower from a small engine, because not only do they want it to be good on gas, they also want it to last a long time. And last but not least, the Qashqai is very quiet. It's a very windy day today, but I'm still having a very peaceful, quiet ride. I can whisper like this and you can still understand everything I say, and I'm going 100 kilometers per hour. One of the things to thank the Qashqai for how quiet it is its clamshell hood. And no, not that type of clamshell hood, this type of clamshell hood. Now, this was actually an idea that first started off at Land Rover, and they came up with a brilliant idea where they designed the hood in a special way with these curves and dips to reduce the wind noise as much as possible. So now in the 2020 Nissan Qashqai, you can enjoy listening to your kids singing along to Elsa from Frozen for the 74th time this week. But let's pretend that Let It Go doesn't exist for a second and talk about the pros and cons of this lovely 5-seater compact SUV, starting off with the pros. One of the greatest things about the Qashqai isn't actually even the Qashqai, it's how similar it is to the Nissan Rogue, which is their best-selling vehicle. Now, they're kind of like older and younger siblings, and when you think of the Qashqai, it's obviously the younger sibling. It's going to be the cheaper and smaller one. This is just a downsized Rogue. And when I say cheaper, you may be thinking, okay, it's probably 10 or 15% cheaper. No, it's a quarter cheaper, 25%. And now, it may change depending on where you live, but here in Canada, the base price of the Qashqai is $21,500, while the base price of the Rogue is $27,000, leaving you around $6,000 left over. And I did the math. That will get you around 100 full tanks of gas for the 2020 Nissan Qashqai, and that is enough to last you for 2 full years if you use 1 tank per week. And then on the other hand, that can also get you 60 full ski trips, which is phenomenal, especially because Nissan is selling the Qashqai as a do-it-all vehicle. It's perfect for downtown, it's good for road trips and going on those ski trips. And another big pro for this one is that it's one of 3 vehicles, as I've already mentioned, that has ProPILOT assist: the Qashqai, the Rogue, and the Ultima. But no more Mr. Nice Guy, let's talk about some of the cons. There are 2 things that I want to touch on with the cons of the 2020 Nissan Qashqai. And the first one is, while I'm confident that this vehicle can definitely fit 5 adults, I'm also confident in saying that those 5 adults would have to be midgets. Don't get me wrong, I think that anybody up to around 6'6" or 6'7" can comfortably drive this vehicle. I know that I can, and I'm sitting around 6'4", but the issue for me lies with the rear 3 seats on that rear bench in the back. And the reason is because there's no room for a normal average human leg back there. Maybe if you're 10 years old or younger, but for any other normal person, there just isn't enough room. So if you put somebody behind you and then I have to move that seat forwards, they're still uncomfortable. They can just barely fit. But now I'm eating my feet as I'm trying to drive around, and it's just not comfortable and not a good experience. Not something you would want for a road trip or a drive that's any more than 20 20 minutes. So all I ask is if you're buying a Qashqai or if you're considering buying a Qashqai, also consider who you're going to be driving around. If you're a mother and father and you have 3 young kids, it's going to be perfect for you guys. And the second issue I have with the Qashqai is the halogen headlights. They do not cut it. While there are these arrows right here, which are the LED daytime running lights, they have halogen headlights and high beams, which are not bright enough at nighttime. And if you do want LED headlights, you're going to have to go with the very top of the line, which is the SL Platinum, and spend that extra pretty penny on getting the top of the line Qashqai if you want that feature. So if you're driving at nighttime or you do a lot of out of city driving at nighttime, you're going to have to get that option if you want to be able to see anything while you're driving around. And the reason this is on the con list is because while it does have the option for the LED headlights, it's a disappointment that Nissan has kept such affordable and common technology only for those willing to buy the most expensive version of the Qashqai. So to conclude, who should buy the 2020 Nissan Qashqai? I think that if you're after an affordable 5-seater SUV that is smaller than the Rogue, then this is going to be perfect for you because it still has plenty of bells and whistles as well. And the reason I say that is if you look at the Rogue and you think that's too big for me, this is just a touch smaller, it's a little bit less intimidating, it's very easy to drive on the road, and on top of that, this is the cheapest SUV that still has an all-wheel drive option that Nissan produces. The one thing I ask is make sure that you're not going to constantly be driving around 4 people. If you're driving an Uber and you're thinking of getting a new vehicle, this is not the vehicle for you because your passengers will not fit in the back. This is going to be great if you don't take people around very often, but you still want to have that option, or you have 1, 2, or maybe 3 small children that you're going to be putting in the back. I personally have driven several Qashqais all the way from 2018 to this gorgeous 2020, and the one thing I stand by is while I think there is no such thing as the perfect vehicle, I think that what Nissan has done here with the Qashqai is they have created the perfect vehicle for the amount of money that you're spending on this vehicle. For what you're putting into this, you're getting so much out of it with all of the technology. With standard Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, the sunroof, and all the other bells and whistles on this vehicle, you just can't get anything better for how cheap they've made this. But that's it, that's everything that you need to know about this brand new facelifted 2020 Nissan Qashqai. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe, drop a like, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the future videos, because once we hit 10,000 subscribers, I have a special surprise, and once we hit 100,000, I'm going to be shaving my lid for a kid. And of course, a huge thanks to Fish Crate Nissan for lending me this vehicle. Everything for them is linked down in the description below. My name is Thomas. Thanks for watching. Peace. Come on, Mother Nature, can't you just wait till I'm at 100,000 subscribers to be this windy so I don't have hair in my face constantly